Hey, Bev.
Hey Sam.
How's it going?
It's going great over here. And I'm really excited because we have some great guests today.
I know. And you know what? I think we've established that we just have an open door here on We Drink and We Farm Things. So we're really excited to introduce two awesome individuals from the company called Rent the Chicken. So we have Phil and Jen. So welcome, guys.
Hey,
Hello.
Hi.
we are excited to be part of this.
Yes, we are.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, nice. That's a great way to start out.
Yeah. All right. So I get it's not even a minute in, and I feel the vibe that you guys like the dad jokes if you're using the excited.
We are. We're always hatching new ideas.
Oh. Oh boy.
That Homestead Jen, she cracks me up.
Oh, goodness. Here we go. This will be fun. I'm even more excited now. So.
Well, I mean,
So-
we're less than a minute in. We made like what, 3 chicken jokes already?
Already.
So now you guys know what you're in for.
We're on a roll. Oh gosh. We'll just hop right into this. So Rent the Chicken sounds kind of odd if you don't know what it is. So how did this idea of Rent the Chicken come about, and what does it mean?
So the short story is my job was coming to an end. It was a contract position. I was working from home. And I, by chance, have this degree in small business management concentrating on entrepreneurship from a number of moons ago. And Homestead Phil and I decided that he wasn't Homestead Phil at the time, of course, but we knew that we both wanted to continue working from home. So he did this quick search for crazy business ideas. And on the SBA's website, now mind you, I'd looked into some multi-level marketing companies to see if there was anything that I might be a little passionate about, and I wasn't. And so he looked up crazy business ideas, and generic chicken rentals was on there. And he looked at me, and he said, "You want
Hey, Homestead Jen, what do you think about renting some chickens?
to rent some chickens?" And I was like, well, we have some chickens, and I can run the power tools. Why not? Right? Why not? But in all seriousness, we know we have family members and friends who had started with backyard chickens, and it was a disaster. Like, if you can imagine anything that could go wrong with starting with backyard chickens, does, and this happened. And my cousin was one of them, and she grew up on a farm. So if it can happen to someone who was raised in agriculture, of straight run chicks, then turned roosters, never getting an egg, predator issues, like you name it, these things happened. And so we know that these people, these friends and families, were not the only ones that experienced this. And as a family unit, we certainly are about helping other people. Like, we really we feel loved when we help other people. And so this experience, by golly, our love tank gets filled up so much when we make these deliveries or talk to people on the phone about their chickens. And so with Rent the Chicken, someone who is interested in starting with backyard chickens, but maybe they travel in the winter, or they're not quite ready for a full-time commitment, or they have just no idea how to start or where to start, enter our Rent the Chicken packages. So 2 or 4 egg-laying hens. We provide the feed, a book, Fresh Eggs Daily by Lisa Steele, and we are chicken friends during the process. Now, we have more than 45 farmers in the United States and Canada who offer our service as an extension of their farm. So it's not just here where we are in Western Pennsylvania, but this is egg-exploded.
Oh.
Oh, that's so exciting. And to hear you put it that way, it makes so much sense, because I know as somebody that had never thought of renting chickens, I was like, well, it's not that hard. But then when you think about it, like, yeah, I had to raise my chickens for 19 weeks before I got my
Right.
very
Right, that's a
first
long
egg.
time. That's a lot of feed and a lot of poop.
It takes
Yeah.
4 to 6 months before a hen lays their first egg.
If it's even a hen.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's a hen, yeah. If you order straight run, yeah, half of them, or even more
Or
than
even
half,
if you
could end up being
order all
roosters,
hens,
so.
you still might get an extra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Like I'm convinced that chicken sexers, the people who sex the baby chicks, have as much credibility as the meteorologists.
The meteorologist in Ohio, because we have
Oh,
like super crazy weather
yeah.
around here.
And it's funny that you bring up the whole straight run idea, the whole like 50-50 thing, because I hatched, I think, 7 eggs a while ago, and all 7 of them were roosters, and it was a
Oh dear,
nightmare.
not a great ratio.
No.
Yeah.
And then
And
you
believe it or
can't
not,
keep
that's
them
common.
all. Yeah.
No,
It's not
right,
it's
you
not
can't.
fair.
We have a program called Hatch the Chicken, where you can hatch baby chickens at your home, your school, your daycare, or even your senior care facility. And so I will drive out, I'll bring the incubator, the eggs, I'll bring everything that the person needs. And there have been cases, now we use sex-linked birds, we use red stars and black stars here in western Pennsylvania. Some of our other farmers use some different sex-linked or possibly just straight run. And when these birds hatch, there have been times where I've had one family hatch all roosters and then another family hatch all hens. So we still get that 50%, but it's very common to put 7 eggs in an incubator and have a lot of roosters or a lot of hens.
That's so crazy. And so would you mind explaining to the listeners what sex linked is, just in
Right.
case they don't know? Because we do have some listeners that are just starting on their adventure, so they might not know all the
You
chicken
bet.
terms and
So
all that
there's
stuff.
a couple different terms. One's called auto-sexing and the other is called sex-linked. And basically, when the chick is hatched, unless you know what you're doing and you can look at the chicken's rear end and look at their feathers, you're really not going to know if they are a hen or a rooster until they're maybe 8 to 12 weeks old, depending on the breed. With a sex-linked bird, they have been crossbred, and there's different breeds you can do a Google search, but usually involves Rhode Island Reds, for instance. But you can crossbreed these birds, and when they hatch, based on their color, you will know if they're hens or roosters. So as soon as they come out of the shell, you know what you have.
Okay.
That's so cool. I always find that
I
so
think you mean
exciting.
egg sighting, Beth.
That's right. Thank you.
Exciting. I know. So we started talking about Hatch the Chicken. What is who would be the perfect person to get a Hatch the Chicken package?
So we have families who participate with our Hatch the Chicken program. Families with kids of varying ages, so not any particular age. Also, we deliver to a lot of daycares and preschools, schools of varying ages, but mainly elementary or middle school participate, and then also senior care homes. So you have these seniors who, and a lot of memory care units. So seniors who don't remember what they had for a lunch, but whenever Homestead Phil or the local affiliate delivers to give the presentation, these older folks can remember the chicken that their grandma had or great grandma had when they were a kid. But again, they're just having short-term memory issues. So it really helps to trigger these older memories that they've had.
Oh yeah, they get so excited. Literally, I've had people say, "I hatched chickens with my grandfather when I was 10." And the same person has no idea what they had for lunch, but they remember that. And it really brings a warm glow to the facility. And then I've also delivered to schools in the city where these city kids have never touched a chicken. They think eggs come from the grocery store. And for them to sit there and watch life happen and watch these chicks hatch, and they get so proud, and then they get to hold the chick, and it's just amazing.
And at the same time, as a society, we've done such a great job to make sure all the dogs and cats are spayed and neutered, to not have not be overrun. So these kids haven't seen something come to life, and so they're experiencing something that they've never experienced before with something come to life, and they're experiencing something that maybe their parents have never even seen an animal come to life. And so it just is so magical. Really is just such a miracle.
Well, and one of the things too about the Hatch the Chicken program that I really like is you guys come and pick up the chicks after a couple of weeks so that they got to experience the hatching. But like a middle school teacher can't have a new like clutch of chicks every year, or else she'd have 100 chickens in her bag.
It is a 5-week program, so the first 3 weeks, we show up, we give a presentation to the school or the daycare or wherever it is we're going. The first 3 weeks, they're in the incubator. We provide a candling light. They can candle. They can see the baby chicks moving and growing. If you've ever candled eggs, which I'm sure you have, at least it sounds like it if you've gone through hatching, you can see the baby chick moving. It's like an ultrasound. It's just, it's so amazing. And then they hatch. You keep them for 2 weeks, and we provide everything, the cage, the food, water dish. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, we come back. We answer any questions that they may have. We take them back. About 50% of our customers do this at their home, and the other 50% are divided between schools, daycares, and senior care facilities.
That's so cool. And who would you describe as the perfect person that would want to rent
That's
a
great
chicken?
question. When we first started, Homestead Phil had very narrow vision, and he said, "Oh, it's just going to be the rich hipsters," and so it's not. I mean, certainly we get our fair share, but it really is just folks who want to try something different and have a food source closer to their table. And so we have single moms, we have empty nesters, we have young couples that don't have children and whatnot. And I think Homestead Phil might want to share something here.
So this one home we pulled into, it was actually in
Ohio. Yeah.
So we're rolling in here, and
hey.
all I see is like redneck lifted trucks, big tires. Like, this is not where we're supposed to be.
It didn't feel right.
No.
It wasn't like anything we'd ever delivered to before.
We roll in, and here's this not teenage, maybe 20s
yeah, in his
guy.
He had to be in his 20s.
Drinking a beer, chewing, smoking, like walking out, like
chain drag wallet. Right, like the whole...
Giving us the look like, what are you doing here? But, I could kind of tell maybe he was expecting me, but I wasn't sure. And then
the dad came out in a similar fashion, right? It was so crazy.
And then the mom comes out.
Right.
We open up the side of the coop because we have a vent on the side of the coop. And all of a sudden, everybody was just like, oh, chickens!
The chickens are here! It's so great to see the chickens!
And it was nothing that I expected. I was like, oh,
it could have went way bad.
Oh,
it really could have went
am
bad.
I trespassing? What's
right,
going
I thought I was
on?
going to bring out a shotgun. We didn't know what was going to happen. But they are a success story, as they built this fantastic coop. They had already had a garden, and chickens was the next step in the progression of things. And they built this like Taj Mahal of chicken coops, and I would think by the time they were done, they already had like 8 chickens at the end of the rental. And so it's just fantastic.
And not every customer has a garden when we show up. Usually what happens is we bring in the coop, and when we come at the end of the season, if they've decided to chicken out, so they're ready for us to take everything back, but we look and all of a sudden we see a raised bed, or we see a pot with a tomato plant, or we see some kind of gardening that had not happened before.
Or composting, or
something usually happens almost every single time with the chicken rental.
And something else that's really incredible is these backyard chickens that we're providing with Rent the Chicken, they are forming this community bond and this community interaction that maybe wasn't there before. So like the neighbor kids are coming over to see the chickens, or the renter has something different to talk about to their neighbor, the neighbor across the way, or at the bus stop. And so people just find themselves like at work just talking about the chickens, and people want to know about the chickens, and oh, how many eggs did you get? What color there's this whole sense of community around the chickens in a society, again, where we barely go outside, it feels like, and so now people are going outside, they're sharing recipes about eggs, and not just the people that have the chickens, but like I said, the neighbors in the community are are just having this sense that they might not have had before.
That's so cool. I love hearing that. I saw on your guys' website that you have this like yard to table
Yes, we
concept.
call it yard to
And
table.
I
Yes.
thought that was such a great way. Yeah, that's such a great way to convey that idea because I think that when you hear like farm to table, that it sort of creates too
A
big
little
of a picture
overwhelming.
in some people's heads. So they're like, "Oh, I can't do that." Yeah, all I have is a small backyard. But I mean, you can rent a chicken. And what size yard? What's the smallest yard that you can rent chickens in, according to your
So
like coop
our
specifications and whatnot
coops
that
are
you guys
about
have?
3.5 by 5.5 feet, depending on which affiliate builds them. And the yard side, if your yard is at least 15 feet wide and maybe 20 to 40 feet deep, such as in a row home, that should be plenty.
Yeah, because you usually only rent a couple of chickens, right? Your packages just have like 2 or 4 or.
Right, 2 to 4 hens is our standard package. And then with our upgrade, usually at the end of the season, people have a choice. Obviously, we talked about chickening out, but some are ready to adopt. So if they're ready to make that full-time commitment, they can adopt the coop. They can even upgrade the coop from us. We do have different upgrade options, including an Amish coop that we have built, which can hold up to 6 chickens. So some of our customers also choose to buy their own coop, and we are a great resource for them. We've partnered with a couple different coop manufacturers to help them as well, so that if they want 10 birds or 12 birds or something like that, we can find the perfect coop that works best for them.
And your website for your coop stuff, that's the Chicken Network, right?
That's right, thechickennetwork.com. And our coops, like Homestead Phil said, are Amish built. We ship them flat, and they can be assembled with all the provided tools in about an hour, hour and a half, depending on the skill level. But this goes together with a number of nuts and bolts. We provide the wrenches and some screws. Just a screwdriver needs to be provided, or drill, either one. They're great. They're portable, just like our rental coops. We keep talking about these portable coops. The huge benefit is the chickens, every time the coop is moved, the chickens feel like they are free ranging, but they're still very protected by the chicken coop. And it also makes it so there's not a dead spot in the yard, and there's not a buildup of dropping, so it helps keeps the odors down. So we are sold on a portable coop, no doubt.
Right. And even in some jurisdictions, you really can't just build a coop, because then you have to get a permit for a structure and this and that. But with a portable coop, it's not really a structure. Usually a permit's not needed if you live in a community. So there's just a bunch of other advantages that people don't even think about.
So, can you tell us more about like who puts those coop sets together? And I know we've used the term Amish made coops. So, could you go into a little more detail about that relationship that you have?
Right. So we established a relationship with an Amish family, 3 years ago?
Oh, fall of 2014.
Right. I mean, I think Homestead Jen, after building 54 coops in the front yard, was.
I said,
was
I am not doing this anymore.
So we established a relationship with Levi, and Levi lives out near Punxsutawney. So if you know Punxsutawney, Phil,
Yep.
Oh,
He's very close.
he's very close.
He goes to his local Walmart in Punxsutawney.
So being Amish, he's not allowed to use electricity, which makes things very, very interesting in the construction. Mm-hmm. Where we will use pneumatic staples to help holding the fence in, he puts all these staples in by hand.
wow.
It's called a poultry staple,
Right.
and it goes in with a hammer.
Right. So he works really hard. He actually, since he is allowed to use gas engines, he does have a gas powered table saw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
a chop saw.
And then he has a chop saw. It's probably the most expensive DeWalt saw that you can buy on the market. But then somebody converted it. They ripped out all of the electric stuff, and then they put a weed eater attachment to it that runs on gas to power the saw blade. It is amazing.
So if you need any weed eater or a weed whacker parts, there's a guy in near Punxsutawney who has a pile of them.
Yeah.
Because he just used the engines off of them.
Yeah.
What a clever workaround, though.
Yeah, that is
Right.
so cool.
And we had even asked, we asked if we could get a gas powered air compressor unit so he could use a pneumatic stapler, and they just are very strict with
How they accept new
progressive
technology.
yeah,
Right.
in progressive society. That's why they are so simple. And so there's a 20-some bishops involved, and there's a really hard rule: no air tools, even if it's not electric.
Oh.
And so he wasn't able to, but he found these great poultry staples to use.
And it works great.
Yeah, and it really gives it a great handcrafted look, and it's so sturdy, and he does such a great job, and his kids help, and it's just a family project to help with us. Now, it's not just Amish built chicken coops at the Chicken Network. Levi has full vision with us, and
Yes.
he about fell over when we said, "Levi, what do you think about a swing set for the chickens?" And he's like, "For the chickens?" And I bet he does not tell his other Amish friends what he's building for us.
So we've got monkey bars, we've got a teeter-totter, we've got a swing set, and coming this fall,
This is late breaking news.
Ooh.
we haven't
Ooh.
told anybody about this.
You heard it here first at We Drink and Farm.
Yes.
Woohoo!
We always love breaking news.
An Amish-made sled for the chickens for the winter.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
that's so cute.
I can't wait to see all of the Instagram posts on that. Hashtag chicken sled.
That's right. That's right. So it's so fun. And Levi really gets us despite our peculiarness.
Well, your peculiarness fits in just fine here.
Okay.
Yes.
So we do have some other things on the Chicken Network, like books and non-Amish built toys that just kind of round out. And we have a great lady in Texas who handcrafts by crocheting hen hats, and they are not hen-shaped hats for your head, but hats that are for the hens. So hen hats. There are some hats for your head as well. There's some chicken loveys and finger puppets. They're all handcrafted in Texas. So we partnered with this great crocheter in Texas for those handcrafted items as well.
That's so cool. Well, here on Drink and Farm, we always like to share like the weird and the funny farm stories. Do you have anything weird or funny from your renting or the chickens playing on the play sets that you can share with everybody?
We do. So a couple years ago, I think it was 2015. We haven't shared this story anywhere, by the way.
Ooh.
No, I thought we were saving it for our book that's not being written. Okay, so imagine, if you will. Here, I'll set the scene for you. Chicken renter in Toronto. And our service is huge in Toronto. I mean, when you have 7 million people, there's bound to be a couple people who rent chickens. And so the renter only had the chickens 10 days. He calls in a panic and says, early one morning, I went out and our beloved, insert chicken name here, was no longer living in the nesting box. And that is traumatic. Like, we get that. And we are so sincere, and we say, oh, did the children see, or this? I mean,
Like, we
could have
care.
been.
We do
really
Yeah.
care. We do really care. Now, they didn't have them for 3 months, but like 10 days, like short amount of time. But, people get attached to their chickens. We get that. And so he asked if the current affiliate in the area could come by that day and pick up the chicken. Now, there had been a big storm. This affiliate's outbuilding moved like 2 feet off its foundation, and they're like an hour and a half from the city, and like it just wasn't good timing, just not an option. We always give the options of, absolutely, you can bury it in your backyard, you can have a little service if you'd like. In Toronto,
you can put it curbside.
right, in Toronto they have
Green bins.
composting green bins.
Oh, yeah.
And so they have like recycling bins,
Okay.
they have green bins, they have trash bins. So we said you could put it in your green bin, put it curbside, want to put it, put it in a box or something. And this guy was so offended that I suggested to put insert chicken name here that he had
Henrietta.
for 10 days, curbside. He said she deserves better than that.
Aw.
Oh my! Yeah, you're right. She deserves better than that. So will you'll be burying her then? And he said no. Oh, I don't know what she deserves. I don't
And
know.
I'm not sure what he thinks farmers do with dead chickens.
I'm not sure. I think that it's not the same.
We did have a poll after this, and all of our farmers basically said they dispose of them. Usually, just toss them over the hillside
or
because
compost, right? Yeah.
right? Because there's not. I mean,
Now once a chicken just dies of natural causes, you don't know what they died of. You're
not gonna eat
You're
it.
not going to eat that chicken.
Oh, yeah, no
Right.
way.
And not that
Right.
we don't eat our rental chickens anyway for a number of reasons.
so we reached out to Homestead Harry,
Right.
and Homestead Harry said,
Well, I'll either give him $5 for a shovel, or he can wrap him up and put him in his freezer. We'll be in on Tuesday.
Oh.
so the customer wrapped up the chicken, not in a bag because we didn't want to bring up the word bag.
Right. He was offended by the bag or the box. Right.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah.
Wrapped them up in
Like saran wrap.
saran wrap, and then stuck this chicken that he had no idea what it died from in his freezer.
Until like for days, I don't know, 5
4 or
days,
5 days.
until they were able to come in, and then it wasn't even Homestead Harry who was the one who
He
picked it
couldn't
up.
make it. He sent his wife.
His wife was going into the city, and I was like, "Please don't take a bag, get a cooler." But he was offended by the bag or the box idea. Take a cooler.
So she took
and
a
please
cooler.
don't drop it in someone's green bin. Take it home. I don't know what you're going to do with it at home,
She
but
took a cooler, and the bird
gave her
went into the
condolences, of course.
cooler.
Took extra chicken. Took an extra chicken.
I don't think the chicken ever made it back to the farm.
But
But
she had she whatever she deserved, which was better than the green bin. I'm sure happened.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a really interesting story actually, because it if you've only had it for a short amount of time, and if people are used to like the whole cat and dog idea, like sometimes it is a little complicated to know what
Yeah.
to do. And even from
Right.
my perspective, I had a few of my flock contract avian leukosis, so we had like a lot die over a couple of weeks.
Oh, no.
And after a while, it was like, how many of these are we actually going to bury? It's
Right.
not like you're
Right.
disrespecting them.
No.
But after a while, it's like, well, I don't want this, if I bury it but not deep enough, is it going to attract predators? And then you have that
Predators?
problem.
Yeah, there's a whole
Yeah.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah, so we ended up cremating them, just because I didn't want the other animals to get into them. But it is something like, it is kind of weird to have to think through. And before, I had to stick one in my refrigerator because I had to send it for a necropsy, and that was a little
yeah.
weird.
Right.
But
Right.
I did put it in a bag though.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you didn't see her face every time you opened the fridge.
Right, exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
just
That's
imagining
that's
the
a
chicken face in
really
the-
interesting story.
it's
Oh,
things that people don't think about when they get chickens.
No.
Like, what do you do when the bird dies?
Yeah.
right, exactly.
And we rarely do we ever need testing because it doesn't happen often where the chicken dies of natural causes, and so unless there's like some crazy epidemic, there's not going to be
Right.
testing. And so then at the compassion, our compassion to the family is you can dispose of the chicken how you see fit. And then they can read into it, and really, because we are homesteaders and we really have a great appreciation for animals, and a lot of food that's on our plate comes from hyper local sources. But they just, the renter can make a decision, and if they have follow up questions too, you can dispose of the chicken as you see fit. Then we'll be happy to answer any questions that they have. They're not alone in this chicken adventure. We are certainly available with phone calls or texts or emails, video chat. We've had more peculiar chicken pictures emailed to us than
Oh, I bet.
I've FaceTimed with teachers before because they were concerned about their hatching eggs before. So
Aw.
we're able to utilize this technology because people are so far removed, right? My mom grew up on a farm. As soon as she got old enough, she left the farm, she went to the city. So that's where I was raised. There are people in our community that who might be third or fourth generation removed from the farm setting. Their great-grandparents may have had chickens, right? Their grandparents probably did, but their parents didn't. They don't know what to do. So between that generation gap, we're bridging that generation gap so that you can have a simple food source closer to your table.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you're absolutely right. Like, my grandparents are farmers, but my mom and dad aren't. I had the fortunate experience of growing up a quarter mile down the road, so I got to experience a lot of that, but they didn't have chickens. And I actually moved into a house, like we bought a house and it came with 11 chickens and I didn't know what I was doing. And if it wasn't for Google, I don't know how far I would have gotten. So, and now I have like so many chickens. I just know it's over 50. I don't know know
Right.
number.
When someone asks, how many chickens do you have? I just say too many. I don't know. I don't know.
I have 2.
Right. We have 2 that belong to Homestead Jen and Homestead Phil. Reddy and Whitey.
Yep.
Oh, I love it.
The red bird is named Reddy, and it's a bantam.
A frizzle.
Frizzle.
A red frizzle.
Oh.
And then the white bird named Whitey is an Easter egger.
So Whitey lays blue eggs and Reddy lays almost white eggs.
Yes.
Oh, that's so cute.
I don't know why I find that so funny.
It is so funny. Absolutely. It's crazy that we've got these 2 chickens that are like belonging to the homestead. We're foster parents, and our foster kiddo placement that we had previously, he picked the most expensive chicken that we had in the entire flock, called it his. That's Reddy. And,
Like I had somebody willing to give me $50 for the bird, and
but
I'm
we
like,
couldn't.
I couldn't
right?
do it.
Yeah.
And now we can't do it because he's not here. Like, we feel bad. Like, it's like the one thing that we have connected to him, and so we have his chicken here, Reddy, and then Whitey, because Phil loves a white Easter egger.
Oh, yeah, they're rare. The white Easter eggers are just, like we'll get a batch of 50 Easter eggers, and out of that 50, we might have 2 or 3 white ones. And last year, I tried to get one of the white Easter eggers, and I come home, I'm like, where'd my white Easter egger go? And Homestead Jen goes, I sold it.
I said, don't you remember we talked about it? Somebody wanted to buy them.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I
So-
don't even think it was last year. I think it was the year before. I think he went a year without them.
I finally have my white Easter egg.
Yes. Named Whitey. And I will say this is not the first chicken in our flock to be named Whitey.
No, we had some white rocks when we first started having chickens, and one of those chickens' name was also Whitey.
Yeah. Oh, and I have another funny story. That first year when we got them, one of them really was getting beat up on, which is not the funny part. And so Phil's mom is so great about taking
yeah.
like the injured chickens for us, and she nurses them. And so this one, she took and she.
So unfortunately, the bird practically lost its comb. You could see
Yeah, it
it.
was
You could
not
see its
great.
skull.
And we were getting ready to leave to go out of town
We
for
were
something.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, we were like leaving that day, and we said we don't know what to do.
So
his mom took it, and she named him Snacks, because the other chickens were having a snack. It's so bad.
Oh my goodness.
Snacks.
Well, it's
Snacks
good
made
to
a full
have.
recovery.
Well, that's good. It's good to have a sense of humor. I think Bev can agree when you're on the homestead.
I mean, that's
with
partially
some of
why we
that.
have this podcast, because so much of like homesteading and farming can just be like get you so down. Like you have to laugh about it. Laughing about it is like our medicine. That's like how we get up and get to do all of the rest of it every day when the sad stuff happens.
Right, because if it's not one thing, right? Like literally there's always something that's not going right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I went to go somewhere the other day, and before I knew it, the chickens, the door was open a little bit. I was trying to get chickens back in. More chickens came out. I thought I got them all. And then there were 5 chickens still in the yard. Oh, come on, chickens. You've got to go back in.
So, before we wrap up here, we talked a lot about affiliates. So how can hobby farmers or homesteaders become affiliates for Rent the Chicken?
Sure. The process is easy. They can just give us a call. They can go to rentthechicken.com. There's a form right on the website they can fill out.
There's also a link that says if you have a small piece of land or you would like to join our program, click on this, and it gives a brief synopsis of our expectations.
And then after you read that, you reach out to us and we talk about it. We talk about what it means to be an affiliate. We talk about the roles, what we do, what you need to do. But essentially, our affiliates get a 50-mile radius of territory that is theirs. And we do not put in any other affiliates in that area because we feel that you can service that 50 miles pretty easily, or 80 kilometers in Canada. We hook you up with all of the marketing material, the brochures, the banners, everything that you could ever imagine. We actually even have an education part of our website that is just for the affiliates, which talk about things like budget marketing, how to set up a booth at a trade show. All of that's all included. We don't have a fee to be part of Rent the Chicken, but we do essentially charge a percentage of your sale. And when we can talk to you specifically about the specifics if you're interested. But we charge a percentage, and you become part of the Rent the Chicken family. You get access to all of the Rent the Chicken owners, and all of these owners are homesteaders or farmers. We have people that are raising goats for milk, and we have people that are they have pastured poultry or pigs or cattle or any of this. So you become part of this family, and if you ever have any other questions that might not even be chicken related, there is probably somebody within our network that is doing that and can help you.
I was also going to add, we have school teachers and accountants. Not everybody is full-time farm. Sometimes one is on farm, one is off farm, and it's just a great group of committed individuals who we work with. We could not be as big or as incredible of Rent the Chicken without our affiliates.
And on average, our affiliates can sell between $10,000 and $35,000, maybe even $40,000 worth of rentals in a season, depending
Hatch the
on
Chicken and Rent the Chicken, depending on region.
Where they live, yeah. And how hard they work, because there's only so much I can do from the greater Pittsburgh area, right?
Right, yeah. So that's really interesting, and obviously for our listeners, we want to encourage you, if this episode piqued your interest, to go over to rentthechicken.com and check that out and maybe even get set up. So that's really awesome. But do you guys have anything else about Rent the Chicken or the Chicken Network that you want to let our listeners know about?
Well, you can always find Rent the Chicken on Facebook, Rent the Chicken, Instagram at Rent the Chicken, Twitter at Rent the Chicken.
And the Chicken Network, as of this point, is only on Facebook. But I imagine at some point we'll launch an Instagrammer. And we have created a code for thechickennetwork.com to be, it's called Drink and Farm for obvious reasons.
And that's a discount for our listeners, right?
That's right. Your listeners, your followers, people in your group.
Awesome. Oh, what is the discount when they use code Drink and Farm?
So they'll be able to take 15% off of the play set.
Oh, awesome.
Whether they buy it as a group or buy it as individual pieces.
Okay, cool.
And we are typically always running some kind of special on our coops as well. And don't miss out on our discount bundles, where we bundle up various things to combine. And all of our discount bundles are at a discount, include free shipping.
Well, cool. Thank you. Well, we appreciate having you guys on today. And I'll be sure and put links in the show notes to all of their social media accounts and both websites, rentthechicken.com and thechickennetwork.com. And I'll leave a note in the show notes with the discount code Drink and Farm so that you guys don't forget that you can use that and get a discount on one of the play sets. So that's so exciting.
Exciting. You're gonna
I'm the worst at this.
We've been doing it for years. We've been saying exciting for years.
Ruffle some feathers.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
But don't fly the coop.
Well, thank you both for an excellent interview.
There we go. Sam's better at this than I am.
Thanks for having us, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, bottoms up.
Woo!
Well, thanks for listening, you guys, to this episode with Rent the Chicken. It was so fun to get to know more about them and their company and how renting chickens works. And if you want to become affiliate of them, be sure and go check out that website because that's a really cool business opportunity for homesteaders and people who want to make an income off of their farms.
Yep, and don't forget to check us out on Instagram at Drink and Farm and use hashtag Drink and Farm while you're safely drinking and farming. And that's it for us, guys.
Bye.